Welcome to Agenda. Sitting in for Sito Beltran, I'm Ed Lingao. You're watching us via Signal TV 8 and 250, One News PH, Facebook, and YouTube, or via the Signal Play app. You can also connect with us via SMS 0968-704-7736. Meanwhile, it's now time to take a look at the front page of the Philippine Star. The health department has reported the detection of the third case of the Omicron variant in the country. The variant was detected in an unvaccinated returning OFW who flew from Qatar and arrived in Mactan, Cebu on November 28th. The department says that the OFW has tested negative for COVID-19 on December 19. The DOH also flagged 5 areas with increasing COVID 19 cases in the past 2 weeks. These areas are Iligan City, Olongapo City, Camiguin, Tawi-Tawi, and Aklan. The department is still investigating the cause of the increase of cases in these areas. And the Philippine National Police reports that the death toll from Typhoon Odette has reached 375 yesterday. But based on the tally of the NDRRMC, the number of deaths due to the typhoon is only at 58. That's the official count of the NDRRMC so far. The NDRRMC says they have yet to verify all of the reported deaths. Now, provinces in the Visayas and Mindanao, of course, were badly hit by Typhoon Odette. This has forced many local governments to call for help from the national government and other groups. How do other provinces plan to help out in these areas? We discussed this with Quirino Governor and, of course, National Chairman of the League of Provinces of the Philippines, Governor Dakila Cua. Gov Cua, thank you for joining us and welcome to Agenda.
Morning, Ed, and morning to all our kababayans.
Well, good morning, Gov. Unfortunately, it's not that good a morning, not a good start of the week. Mataas pa yung death toll. As of last night, it was only at 208 from the PNP. Now we're hearing it's at least 375 from the PNP side. So mukhang hindi pa tapos yung counting. I understand, Gov. Your province is also one of those provinces usually hit by the typhoon kasi you're on the eastern side of Luzon, eh, di ba? Uh, Give us
Yeah,
a ano, can you give us a bit of a brief overview? How do provinces that are usually hit by typhoons, how do they prepare pag may parating na bagyo? And how much lead time do they usually get?
well, it depends on how early Pagasa gives us a warning, no. But usually, naman we are informed ahead of time, no. And but as to how devastating it is going to be, talagang hindi ma-predict yan eh. It depends on how low the winds are going to be or how much water is going to come down on the community. Um, but all LGUs are routine na natin yung pagkakaroon ng PIDRA, yung
Yeah.
pre-disaster meeting ng mga agencies involved together with the LGUs. Nagpe-preposition tayo ng goods, naghahanda ng mga evacs. But until the storm or the calamity hits, it's really very hard to predict how the damage is going to be. So napakalungkot nga, Sir Ed, na talagang magpapasko na at tsaka tinamaan itong mga kababayan natin sa Visayas, no? So, yeah.
Yes, go. But I also understand kasi na ano eh na nung earlier reported yung bagyo hindi pa ganoon kalakas tapos pang i-increase yung kanyang wind speed as it approached land eh. So I suppose that was also a factor doon sa ano sa devastation and yung sa hindi inaasahan na ano na lakas ng bagyo. I suppose that was also a major factor. Kasi I remember nung nasa pasok pa ng Philippine Air Responsibility, parang hindi pa gano'n kalaki yung ano, yung wind speed, eh. I think it was 75 or 85 kph. A far cry from the 185 sustained winds.
Exactly. So, a science that's very difficult to predict. Kasi, yun na nga, it changes, it evolves. Eh. The storm evolves Sometimes it weakens, but sometimes, unfortunately, it also strengthens or intensifies. And yun nga, the purpose of that pre-disaster meeting is really to prepare everything. Unfortunately, there's really things that we cannot predict. Um, Yun, and another purpose is really to inform people. So of what's going to happen or what may happen. But yun nga, it's hard to really predict 100% what's going to happen. Kaya really best effort sa mga LGUs pagdating sa ganyan. Um, but I was informed na all no effort was spared by the LGUs, all the provinces that were hit. Kaya lang talaga bigla, you're right. Bigla na lang lumakas at the very last minute yung wind speed, which was
Mhm.
not anticipated kasi hindi mo ma-imagine that more than double from less than 100 to almost 200 uh, kilometers per hour.
Mhm. Pero Gob, can you give us
Pero,
an idea?
Gob, can you give us an idea?
What exactly,
What
no, at least in
exactly,
broad strokes,
no,
what
at least
happens
in
in
broad
this
strokes, what happens in this
sa LGU level, and and how much preparation
in, in,
can be done by an LGU? I mean, what's available
by
to
an
the
LGU? I mean,
LGU
what's
in terms of
available to the
resources,
LGU in terms of
uh,
resources,
uh, and all
uh,
that. I mean, how much lang
and
can
all
an
that.
LGU
I
do
mean, how much long can an
once
LGU
preparing
do
for an
once
incoming storm?
preparing
I
for
mean,
an
with
incoming
all the
storm? I
variables
mean,
na hindi ka sigurado,
variables na hindi ka
speed
sigurado,
is changing, direction is changing.
it's changing,
With all those
direction is
changing
changing.
variables,
With all those changing
ano lang
variables,
pwede magawa ng LGU?
ano lang pwede magawa ng LGU? Okay, so yung mga tinatawag naming PIDRA, yung nga yung pre-disaster meetings. Ang preside niyan usually the local executives. And then in that meeting, kasama yung mga directly involved agencies and offices. So nandyan magre-report ang preparedness yung provincial government, yung disaster risk reduction department, yung health department, yung engineering department, and many others, no? And then magre-report din ng preparedness ang mga national government. So in that same meeting, sasabihin ng DPWH, we have so much equipment ready for road clearing. Sasabihin ng police, we have so many men and women and equipment ready for support. Andyan din ang OCD, andyan ang Philippine Army, um, DOH joins us, and many other departments. DSWD is very important in this meeting, and they tell us how many food packs are pre-positioned already, and what is the condition of the uh, evacuation centers if they're prepared. So yung mga ganon. So many different agencies and local government offices participate and discuss the preparedness. Andyan din yung mga, if it's a provincial level meeting, andyan yung mga mayors. They also send their DRRM officers so that they can express their readiness. Also the barangay association of barangay captains, yung mga federation presidents are also there so that they can cascade automatically the information and the preparedness and what to do. So it's organized, it's systematic, napag-aralan naman na natin yan. But then again, minsan may mga low ball na changes in the path of the typhoon or the calamity that is really hard to prepare for. But talagang ganun po yung nangyari sa mga meeting.
Okay. Governor, we'll just have to take a
Governor,
quick break.
we'll just have to
They're going
take
to
a
try
quick
to
break.
fix an audio issue.
There
So if you don't mind,
is an
can we
audio
just have a
issue.
break
So if
for a
you don't
very
mind,
short while
can we
and
just have
we'll
a
come
break
back
for
to you.
a very short while and we'll come back to you. Thank you.
And welcome back to Agenda. Thank you for staying with us. And still with us is Governor Dakila Cua, the Governor of Quirino, as well as the President of the League of Provinces of the Philippines. Governor Cua, thank you for staying with us and welcome back.
Hello, Sir Ed. How's my audio?
Yes, Governor, we can hear you. Thank you
Yes,
very much
Governor. We
for
can hear you.
staying with us.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Can you hear
Thank
us,
you.
Governor?
Yes,
Okay.
Governor. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Governor.
Okay.
Of course,
Yes,
we do want
Governor.
to talk
Of course,
about
we do want to talk about
how other
we do want to talk
provinces
about how other
could help
provinces could
in what
help
is happening right now or
what
what
is
happened right now in northern Mindanao and southern Visayas. But let me back up a little bit some more on the preparations that are typically being done by provinces and other LGUs in preparation for storms like these. Kasi ang sabi nga ng iba ang sabi ng ilan, ang Pilipinas siguro ang pinakasanay na sa bagyo kasi taon-taon 20 to 25 typhoons and we already have so much hindsight
Yeah.
on how to deal with storms that it should probably already be called foresight. Diba? We are so well
Yeah.
practiced in it. I'm wondering lang, what else can be done or what else should be done, kumbaga, saan pa tayo pwedeng mag-improve pagdating sa preparasyon? Kasi nga, we are looking at 20, 25 typhoons, and a lot of these typhoons hit more or less the same provinces over and over again. Usually sa eastern seaboard, usually sa eastern Luzon, eastern Visayas, and a little bit more regularly now, eastern Mindanao. Pero that's relatively new, eh. 'Di ba? So a lot of these provinces have had a lot of experience in experiencing and dealing with these typhoons. What else can we improve on in terms of preparation, I suppose?
Uh, that's an excellent question, Ed. I think ang isang pwede natin gawin, I think room for improvement to, not really pagkukulang, pero room for improvement is
Yeah,
really
certainly.
involvement of private sector. Ang napapansin ko kasi usually when we have these meetings, even at the national level, it's really more government centric. You know what agencies can do, what national government, local governments are prepared to do. But nakikita ko when the storm hits, especially pagka ganito ng magnitude, talagang ang laki rin ng effort at support and tulong ng private sector. And they are groups of private sector units that are prepared, are ready, coordinated, and it would be great to institutionalize them into the local councils and the national government councils. No, perhaps better coordination or a way of for them to to link up and collaborate with efforts of the government. Malaking resources, even churches, religious groups, ang dami nilang havens that we can use for evac, at least temporarily, if they're willing to share with us, di ba? Those are things that I think can really help, especially when big calamities really hurt our communities.
Tama naman eh. Kasi a big chunk of the preparation should also involve the citizenry. We were talking kahapon with the Resilience Institute Director Mahar Lagmay, yung dating head ng Project NOAA. Ang sabi niya,
Yeah.
possibly kailangan din ng improvement sa communications eh. Uh, I suppose by that he meant yung communication ng information about the storm, its strength, its direction, its possible implications or significance to the people on the ground, not just the LGUs but as well dun sa mga tao na mga nasa baybay dagat o
Public.
nasa dalampasigan.
Yeah.
Which I suppose was also lacking nung panahon ng Yolande. People never really understood the idea of or the concept of a storm surge until it finally happened right in front of them. So, meron ding room for improvement siguro dun sa ah, papaano mo ipaparating sa tao kung gaano kalaki itong bagyong ito? Kasi very technical terms usually. Minsan ako
Yeah.
hindi ko naman maintindihan kung ano yung sinasabi ng Pagasa. But I don't think I don't know if that's the fault of Pagasa or if it's the fault of the people who are in between Pagasa and the general public.
Yeah, tama din si Mahar ano, and ang isang tama 'yon, not only about expressing the risks and the dangers in practical daily lingo or um, in everyday language that people will understand. Pero yung making the information available, um, which is also a in over.
I think we lost the governor. Governor, are you still there? Okay, we lost the governor for a while. Maybe there's a connection issue, or maybe there's a problem. We are still trying to remedy it. But let me give you some of the details we've collated so far as damage and casualties are concerned, while we wait for the governor to reconnect. Now, this is what we have so far. As of Monday, 6 a.m., December 20, um, 375 dead, 56 missing, 500 injured, 452,307 families affected, or 1.8 million people in 3,200 barangays. Oh, we have Governor back online. Governor, thank you for joining us. Tama-tama, we were talking about communications. Yes, Gov. Continue, Gov. Tama-tama, we were talking about communications and the need for better communications.
Yeah, well, I was referring to a long-standing problem and a very urgent problem that we need to solve as a nation with the help of government and private sector. Itong connectivity gaps, the digital divide.
Okay, we're having connection issues with the governor. I suppose he's still out of town, so we'll try to fix that. In the meantime, let me continue with the damage assessment so far. Um, some 20,102 totally damaged houses, 34,681 partially damaged houses, 14 million pesos in assistance provided by the DSWD so far, and LGUs and NGOs. Initial damage estimates by the NDRRMC, 343 million pesos, and that is expected to rise further as we go down into the week. Also destroyed various government facilities, flood control projects, roads, bridges, and other infrastructure amounting to 225 million pesos, as well as various agricultural products worth 118 million. At least 54,700 houses either totally or partially destroyed, 41 road sections and 4 bridge sections collapsed, along with the damage to 4 airports and 118 seaports. Let's try to bring back Governor Dakila Cua, see if our connection has improved. Hi, Gov. Welcome
Hi.
back. Good morning. There you go. There you go. That's much better.
Sorry about that.
It's okay, Gov. Good, Gov. We were talking about communications. The need to communicate better with the public.
Yeah. Um, I was just about to say kanina, sorry, Ed, that the problem is really the need to improve and modernize our digital infrastructure to address the information gap. Kasi nga, you're right that the Philippines is, I think, ranked ninth in the most vulnerable nations in the world kasi nasa ring of fire tayo at saka nasa typhoon belt tayo, and many calamities visit our nation and our people in an annual basis. So makikita sa study that those who are most vulnerable are those within the geographically disadvantaged areas. Sila rin ang walang cell site, sila rin ang walang wifi, sila rin ang walang means of communication. Kaya importante na government steps in to augment the efforts of private sector so that we can provide more reliable and better connectivity to our people. So I think that's something that the national government has already recognized and is working on, but we need to put more effort in it siguro.
Good, but that's
Mm-hmm.
that's
Good, but that's
medium to long term. I mean, putting up
medium to
the
long term. I mean,
infrastructure
putting up the infrastructure
to improve communications to the public.
communications
Kasi you're
to
talking
the
about
public.
going
Kasi
first
you're
about
talking
cell
going
sites
first about cell sites
and digital
and digital
infrastructure. So that's a major long term
infrastructure.
thing.
So that's
But let me
the
ask you
long
about
term thing.
something
But let me
short
ask you
term in
about
terms of
something short term
communication.
in terms of communication.
For example, we've been hearing
For
that
example, we've been hearing that
pahirapan yung
mahirapan yung
communications between the
communications
national government
between the national
and
government
some specific
and some
LGUs na
specific
tinamaan ng bagyo.
LGUs
I
na
mean,
tinamaan ng bagyo. I mean,
as of yesterday, and that's already
as of
4 days,
yesterday, that's already
going 5 days
4 days,
since the
and
storm.
5 days since the storm.
Um,
Um,
may mga
may
bayan pa
mga
na hindi pa
bayan pa
makontak
na
hanggang
hindi pa
ngayon.
makontak ngayon. Right.
Uh,
Uh,
so, of course, we
so,
understand
of course, we
yung extent
understand
ng
yung
damage sa
extent ng damage sa
cell towers.
cell tower.
Pero
Pero
hindi ba dapat o hindi
hindi
pa
ba
ba
dapat
ginagawang
o
standard
hindi
na
pa
dapat
ginagawang
yung mga
standard na
parating na natamaan ng bagyo
bakit
na
natamaan
mga
ng bagyo
bayan
na
kahit
mga
paano
bayan
merong
kahit
satellite
paano
phone?
merong satellite phone. Yeah, that's an effort that's being done by OCD or by the Office of Civil Defense nagpo-provide ng sat phones. Ang nakikita kasi na tama 'yon, that's for emergency use. But yung sat phone madalas kasi napakamahal ng operation yan nung per minute charges diyan. So I think some areas that receive sat phones usually keep them in a box na
Yes.
they only take them out pagka talagang ganito. Oh.
Yes, go. Actually,
Yes, go.
I know
Actually,
exactly what you mean eh.
I know
Kasi
exactly what you mean.
parang SIM card yan ng cellphone na pag nilagay mo sa kahon, may iwang 3 buwan, mag-expire yung SIM card dahil wala ng load. So I understand completely
So
what you
I
mean,
understand.
but on the other hand, but also again, this is not to blame anybody, but maybe siguro for future purposes of of planning, maybe some LGUs also have to be aware na na you know it's it's something that you need during emergency, so it better be ready all the time. In other words, parang you have to
In other
keep
words,
refreshing the
yeah,
load eh. I know what you mean na medyo mahal yung yung load niya kasi itong mga to prepaid eh. But it's still relatively cheap for an LGU. I mean, may ira naman eh. Let me give you an example. Ang sat phone I understand now cost mga 38 to 40,000 pesos. I know it's expensive compared to other cell phones, pero it's even still a lot cheaper than an iPhone.
yeah, yeah.
And it's good for
Tama naman.
emergencies.
And it's good for
Diba?
emergencies.
And then
Diba?
and then
Yeah.
yung maintaining the load every year, that's around mga 10,000 pesos every year. So I know it's a lot for a typical citizen, but for an LGU, it could or should be affordable in the sense of preparing for disasters. Eh. I mean, di ba? I mean, 4 days into the disaster, may hindi pa rin makontak ng mga LGU. And these are not barangays. We're talking about towns. Eh. Di ba? I don't know.
Yeah. But
I'm
I don't
just
know.
trying to take a step
I'm
back and
just
look
trying.
at it na parang from a planning perspective, baka may mga kailangan pa mga fill up na gaps.
I completely agree, Ed. That is a very sound recommendation, and one of the learnings siguro of this situation that preparedness is really can really be improved pa talaga. Yeah. And
Mhm.
sat phones, although are not very practical during times where there's no need, pero when the need arises, it will come in very handy. But another reason kasi why communication is still difficult is also the power outage. I spoke to a
Yes,
to
Gov.
my
That's the
friend,
other one.
yeah, the congressman of Camiguin told us a couple of days back that they were still working on the power resumption. So kahit may sat phone ka, kung hindi naman na-charge or naubusan na ng baterya, ganun din, kailangan mo ng paraan na magkaroon ng... So I guess gensets have to be a standard
Mm-hmm.
staple then in our evac centers. At least man lang makapag-communicate.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Gov. Well, patungan ko na rin, gensets and of course, stocks ng gasolina. To run the generator sets kasi kung parang parang sat phone 'yan, eh. Bumili ka nga ng sat phone o nabigyan ka ng sat phone pero wala ka ng load, paperweight. Parang genset, bumili ka ng genset, hindi ka nag-stock nag-imbak ng gasolina, malaking paperweight. Gov,
Opo,
teka,
tama, tama.
let me also bring in another thing, sorry kasi ako praning ako, eh. I like to prepare, in advance, eh. Another thing din is ano, eh, of course, gensets are good, pero for things like charging cell phones and the like and small devices, solar panels work great, eh. I mean, I don't even mean yung malalaking nasa bubong, eh, but yung portable solar panels, if only to, for example, to charge cell phones and satellite phones, and give power to gadgets so that you can communicate with relatives and friends. Not only for the LGUs, but I suppose for ordinary people, eh. Hindi na ganoon kamahal ngayon ng solar panels na maliliit, eh.
Yeah, actually, marami namang marami pong mga technology that are available. Old technologies, hindi lang po solar, tama kayo sa solar, but I know that I have a radio that has a
May crank.
flashlight that yeah,
Uh,
you crank lang, pwede na. Kung mag-charge ka lang naman ng 10 minutes, mag-crank ka lang ng 10 minutes, pwede na rin.
Actually,
But
may
it
nakita pa
sounds
ako sa
crude.
Lazada, ano, eh. May nakita pa ako sa Lazada, ano, yung pedal. So, para ka nag-exercise habang nagcha-charge ka. Pinipedal mo
It
ng paa.
sounds crude, pero tama kayo It sounds crude, pero pagka nangailangan ka at walang ibang alternative, it will prove to be useful eh. At saka hindi naman mahal. No? I think that's something that's worth looking into nga.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Gov, let me broaden it a bit. Tell us if there are any initiatives among the other provinces as to how the other LGUs can help with what happened down south. Any ideas coming from the League of Provinces as to how people can help and all that. For example, Quirino gets hit every once in a while in the bagyo. Eh. For example, in your province's case, normally what would you need in terms of assistance? Hindi lang sa pera, syempre, pero dun sa sa gamit. Ano yung mga donations na talagang ay salamat may dumating versus yung mga donations na ba't may ganito? Saan namin gagamitin 'to? Yung mga gano'n ba?
Tama po. Oh, Sir Ed, kasi in our experience, no, pagka tumama yung bagyo at ganyan kalakas, ang unang-unang kakailanganin mo talaga is tubig. No?
Yeah.
That's basic for survival, tubig. And then pagkain. So that I think usually lasts for the first, kung hindi gaanong kalakas, mga first 2 days, but kung intense yung distraction, baka up to a week. But past those number of days, usually it's really more about recovery already. Ang problem sa sending in goods, although it's much appreciated, and thank you to all those donors and kind-hearted people,
Mhm.
hindi nagtutugma. Minsan you have too much water but not enough food, or too much
Yeah.
bigas, not enough canned goods. So hindi nagtutugma. Ang hirap pa ng logistics. So sometimes, if cash is available to the donor, it's really much appreciated kasi it also gives business to the local community na tinamaan din ng bagyo at kailangan din makapag-recover. No? So
Mhm.
I'm not saying that cash is more important, but it becomes more flexible lang. We can procure, it doesn't even have to be through the LGU. You can go directly to the people. You can give blankets you can give to the community or to the subdivision or to the village, whatever their needs are. So
Mhm.
usually lang mas mahirap pagka goods tapos hindi coordinated with the LGU, hindi
Oo, hindi
nagtutugma
tumatugma.
yung quantities. Opo, yun.
Kaya siguro paalala sa mga tao, people appreciate it when you make donations, pero 'wag naman niyo ibigay yung kung ano-anong palibhasa hindi niyo kailangan sa bahay, ibibigay ninyo. For example, yung mga damit sa kotelyon o yung mga gano'n. 'Wag niyo pong ipadala 'yun kasi alam mo dumadagdag lang 'yan dun sa kailangang i-transport doon sa
Yes.
lugar na nangangailangan. Pagdating do'n parang, "Aanhin ko 'to." Sana nagdala na kayo ng ano, ng jacket o ng set of underwear, 'di ba? There are things that are
Yes, yes.
more urgent and more important for people than an evening dress.
Yeah. Pero the first things usually in the first couple of days, food and water,
Yeah.
blankets kasi nawalan ng tahanan, and sleeping bags or kahit banig pwede na rin. So yung mga ganun ang usual na pinaka-urgent for the first couple of days.
Yes, Gov. I suppose people usually forget na yung primary necessities you can only last 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. So we tend to forget the requirement for water. Walang clean water. You can't drink seawater even if you try to. It's very very hard to purify and to take out the salt of seawater. So people who live by the sea, in Quirino for example, pahirapan. Ay, go, paano nga ba 'yun? Meron na bang ano, may desalination devices na bang available for LGUs? Is that I mean, have you seen anything like that for ganung mga emergencies? Being able to either desalinate seawater into potable water for emergencies, or I don't know, or portable purifiers that are workable or practical for LGUs.
Sa akin, Ed, hindi pa ako I haven't come across with an affordable and practical one. Merong purifying units, but yung desalination I think is a more complicated process
Mas komplekso
yung
oo.
taking out the salt. Pero yung paglilinis, meron naman yung maraming cheap alternatives yung purifying the water to potable water. So available po yun.
Mhm, I think the
Mm.
Israelis have kind of perfected that kasi wala silang choice Nasa desierto sila tapos nasa tabing dagat lang sila Gov, ano po, what other, do you have any other recommendations coming from a province nga that always gets hit by typhoons? Any other recommendations? Not just to LGUs but also to the public in terms of in whether it's in terms of preparing for typhoons and disasters, or giving assistance to those who are in need. Any recommendations on your end, given the experience that you've had in your province?
Uh, Thank you, Ed. First, I think coordination is key kasi maraming needs. So it's best to have a clean communication. Again, we go back to communication, no?
Yeah,
But will become a challenge if it's a very big calamity. But yung communication will help identify needs right away. So kami dito sa probinsya, I always advise the barangay captains before anything else, make sure you inform the municipality and the province of what your needs are and what the damages are. Kasi pabilisan yan pabilisan maka-respond, no? Hindi naman automatic sinabi mo ngayon, mamaya nandiyan na. So kailangan ayusin yung logistics, kailangan i-solve, kailangan makahanap ng source. So information right away for the community, find a way to be organized. Establish naman yan to your barangay officials, send it right away to the province and to the mayors so that they have a kumbaga a master list of the needs, no? And then sabay na rin dyan, kung kaya nyo pa, ilista nyo na rin yung damages. Kasi importante malista agad yan dahil i-report yan agad para ma-estimate yung needs at usually that's really more for budgeting for the rehabilitation, no? Kasi the slower we are at listing the damages, mas matagal marirehabilitate yung ating community at kawawa yung tao na naghihintay sa improvement. So, and then for those donors naman, kung si LGU is complete with the list, it's best to coordinate what the needs are before donating. Kung pwede lang naman. No? So I'm not demanding from the donors na kailangan mag-coordinate. So, but that will help identify needs and become more evenly spread out. And mas tama yung maibibigay mo, mas mapapakinabangan nung mga kababayan natin dahil yun talaga ang need nila. And then just to share with you, Sir Ed, and to everyone, ang League of Provinces, we have already coordinated with the provinces that have been badly hit. No? So in our list, there are 8 provinces that have declared their province under a state of calamity. These are Surigao del
Mhm.
Norte, Dinagat Islands, Southern Leyte, Bohol, Cebu, Negros Oriental, Palawan, and Guimaras. So the governors who would like to, the provinces that would like and are interested in donating, are now coordinating with our secretariat so that we can directly deposit to their accounts. Importante kasi sa amin yung state of calamity that allows our local governments as well to use part of our calamity funds and
Yeah.
donate to the recipient local governments or provinces.
Mhm. Mhm. Gov, total napag-usapan na ninyo yung pondo, mai-implement na sooner, in a bit yung ano, yung Mandanas ruling, which effectively increases the amount of funding available to LGUs. How does that help? How could that possibly affect yung preparations ng LGUs for disasters like these?
Definitely, it helps a lot, no? And I think the magistrates, ang ating Supreme Court for deciding in favor of the local governments. It will empower local governments. So and we expect that to translate down to better services, and of course, in terms of disaster, better preparedness. Uh, yes. So pero sa January pa namin po mararamdaman at matitikman
Mhm.
eh.
Mhm, mhm. Pero malapit na yan, so 2 weeks away. I mean, of course, hindi siya mabilis ano, mabilis cycle, pero you can expect ano what you call that, flood of funding as a result of that. Gov, give us an idea, by how much percent yung mag-i-increase yung available funding?
An average of 30 to 40%.
That's
It,
big, ah.
it differs
Mhm,
per LGU, yeah, but at an average of 30 to 40% increase um, ng IRA namin this year ang ma-recognize next year. Although there's still some issues that we're trying to sort out with national government, no? Kasi ang kabila naman dyan, national government is downloading so many functions naman to
yeah,
us.
yeah.
Um, so ang inaasahan namin dadating yung pera niyan para mapunuan yung mga gaps namin. Pero ito naman, may marami pang gustong ipasa sa amin na bola. So hopefully, pag pasahan pa kami ng more functions, sana may more funds pa rin. No? Para hindi mag-suffer yung services na ihahatid natin sa taong bayan. Diba? Kasi
Mhm.
stretched siya kung masyadong maraming functions uh, as against the resources available.
Yeah, I can imagine, sir. The national government will let go of a lot of responsibilities and pass it on to the LGUs. Bibitaw, kumbaga, bibitaw. Oh, sa inyo na yung pera, bahala kayo. Bahala kayo. May local government code naman. You have your own, you have autonomy and you have the money. Therefore, we'll just come in when necessary. How do you think that will affect disaster response for example, next year? Oh, it's a good thing January is not naman na typhoon season. So kahit papaano may konting paghahandang available for the LGUs. Pero sooner or later we'll get to the typhoon season next year.
The disaster response I don't think will be affected kasi sa disaster response naman, Sir Ed, nakasaad naman sa ating local code na fixed percentage, which is 5% of your revenue should be allocated for disaster response. So kumbaga yung buong pie lumaki by 30 to 40%, Therefore, your 5% will also increase by 30 to
Yeah.
40%. So hindi ka dapat mag-alala. I think definitely we can expect better responses from local governments. It's more of the other services that we're worried about. No? Yung additional functions on agriculture, irrigation, school buildings, yung ganong mga heavy on infrastructure investment na baka hindi kayanin ng local government. Yung technical assistance is really okay. Yung technical download sa mga LGU services, studies, research, technology, okay lang yon. Kailangan ma-enhance naman yung capability ng local government. Pero it's really more of the heavy infrastructure that we're worried about. Kasi kung magkulang yung resources ni LGU on, let's say, irrigation, on school
Hmm.
buildings, or hospital development, ang magsasuffer talaga is yung clients, not naman the LGU. So that, I think, should still be an area of strong collaboration and maybe strong assistance and funding support should still be provided by the national government in certain areas.
Okay, Governor Dakila Cua. Sir, baka you'd like to give your parting message before we say good morning.
Well, ano lang po, Sir Ed, to our fellow Filipinos in the typhoon-stricken areas, we are one with you. In this time, during these moments of difficulty and challenges, please do not forget that you have brothers and sisters, fellow Filipinos thinking of you, praying for you. And I'm sure there are a lot of generous Filipinos out there that will extend help. And kami po sa Liga ng League of Provinces of the Philippines, together with our colleagues, are also mounting our resources to give aid to those who have been stricken. So don't lose hope, and God bless po.
Okay, Governor Dakila Cua, Quirino Governor and President of the League of Provinces of the Philippines. Sir, maraming salamat for joining us this morning and ingat po. We will just go into a gap, so please stay with us. Good morning and thank you for staying with us. You are still watching Agenda. We are waiting for our next guest. If we're lucky, okay, yeah, I think we're gonna be lucky. Our next guest is an old colleague. He's now in government. He's been in government for the past 5 years. If is he here already? Can we bring him in with certainty? Okay, we're hoping to have with us today, this morning. Is that Secretary Martin? Yes, it is Secretary Martin. Secretary Martin Andanao, Communications Secretary, old colleague from Channel 5. Secretary Martin, thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Morning, Ed. Good morning to everyone who is watching
Hmm.
your show. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat.
Sige, sa mga hindi nakakalam, si Secretary Martin is currently in Siargao, one of the most badly hit or battered by Typhoon Odette. Sec Martin, let's begin with that. Kamusta po kayo dyan sa Siargao? Ano pong sitwasyon natin ngayon dyan? I understand, wala pa natang kuryente at tubig, no?
Sorry, Ed. I'm already in Manila now. I arrived last night,
Okay.
Ed. Yeah,
Okay.
because I
Can you
have
provide the
a
latest? Yeah.
meeting with the U.S. Charge d'Affaires, yung bagong Charge d'Affaires, at kay Ambassador Ilan Flas ng Israel dahil meron po silang idudulog or meron po silang tulong na ibibigay para sa ating mga kababayan na naging biktima po ng Typhoon Odette. Hindi lang po sa Siargao kundi sa buong Vismin.
Mhm. Mm. Sec Martin, pa-update naman. Ano yung latest dun sa Siargao at Surigao area? Nung ano ka?
For the past few days, nakafocus po tayo dyan sa Siargao at dito po sa Surigao del Norte and Dinagat. Pero masyado pong challenge. Malaking challenge po yung ating transportation, communication, and electricity. Kaya po si Presidente po yung nagpunta sa Surigao City. Ako po yung nagpunta sa Siargao Island dahil mas malayo. And then yung Dinagat po ay pilit pa po nating pinupuntahan. Again, I mentioned challenge yung transportation dahil napakalaki po ng pinsala nitong bagyong Odette. Not only in Siargao, in Surigao del Norte, and in Dinagat, but also in Visayas, in the Visayas region. So you would imagine that the C-130 planes and the choppers of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, of the Philippine Air Force, are used and abused during this time. At nagkukulang po talaga ng ride. So tayo po yung nakafocus doon sa isla ng Siargao. Ang challenges po ay nadagdag ay yung gasolina. Tumataas na po yung gasolina, Ed.
Magkano na
The
nga?
liter is sold between 100 and 120 pesos for the gasoline. Same with the diesel. And the fare just to get away from Siargao to cross to the mainland of Mindanao, which is Caraga, yung pinakamalapit, itong Surigao del Norte at Surigao del Sur, would cost one person between 2,000 to about 10,000 pesos per head. No? So, napakahirap po talaga. Nagtataasan ng presyo, naubusan ng pagkain, naubusan ng tubig, potable water specifically. Buti na lang itong munisipyo namin sa Santa Monica and San Benito, napaka abundant ng water, ng natural water, ng spring water, no? So and that's one thing that we are communicating with the other municipalities, sapagkat nasanay po sila doon sa yung mga water purifier ng mga tindahan, pero meron pong supply ng spring water sa Santa Monica at dito po sa San Benito. Nag-set up po kami, Ed, ng laging handa panawagan center sa Sayac Airport. Alam mo naman, Ed, tayo na may trained under you and DJ Santa Ana. So experience po natin sa news gathering that we stay in one place, no, kung saan ay napupuntahan ng lahat at mas madaling hanapin. So we stayed in the airport. We've set up with the OCD two satellite telecoms. Yesterday, we added one more satellite from the PCO Laging Handa Crisis Comms. So we have now three. We can now broadcast live from Sayac Airport in Siargao. Our kababayans can go straight to Sayac Airport para sa kanilang mga panawagan, mga shout-outs nila sa kanilang pamilya. There's so many who are asking where their family and friends are in Siargao, trying to locate them. So we've set up the Laging Handa tracking team. We have hired yung mga habal-habal para hanapin lang po yung mga hinahanap ng ating mga kababayan from Manila. At the same time, those who are in Siargao can go straight to Sayac Airport, to the Laging Handa Crisis Communication Center, para sa kanilang mga panawagan para i-broadcast po natin dito sa Manila. Hindi lang po sa government kundi sa buong broadcast industry. So yun po yung nagawa namin kahapon. Nagdala po kami ng mga pagkain. But again, alam mo naman, limited lang ang nadadala mo sa maliit na Air Force plane. But there are 2 ships from the Philippine Navy that are arriving tomorrow. Toneladang pagkain po ang dala nila. But it's never going to be enough. To tell you frankly, nagsimula na po ang looting sa iba't ibang lugar, sa Siargao. Wala na pong pakundangan, wala na pong pakialam, Ed. Parang Yolanda, Ed. Alala mo naman
That's
yun.
unfortunate.
Opo, harap-harapan po. Siyempre kung ikaw naman ay meron kahit papaano, konti, sige na lang, kunin mo na lang yan. Sabi ko nga dun sa mga tiyuhin ko, buksan mo na lang yung buong bahay, sabi, pakuha mo na lahat. Kasi wala naman, kung wala na talaga. But it's very unfortunate, no? So we are also asking the Armed Forces of the Philippines na maglagay ng contingent doon, ng mga army para hindi po magkagulo. At ang pinakamadaling solusyon na short term would be to give kilos of rice per family para kahit paano ay meron po silang makain ngayong panahon ng Pasko at hindi po sila makapag-isip na magnakaw para po makakain lamang. Marami po sa ating mga kababayan. Sorry, Ed.
Mahirap nga naman, Sek, kung ginugutom ang tao, paano pipigilin sa looting kung talagang ginugutom yung pamilya niya, di ba? Hahanapan mo ng paraan, eh.
Yeah, the problem, Ed, is kami kasi sa Siargao, mga Siargao nun, yung last resort namin ay either isda o yung niyog. Naubos na po yung niyog, eh.
Oo nga.
Nakakalbuho, eh. Talagang parang, alam mo yung upos na kandila, yun po itsura, Ed. Alam mo naman yun, naka-cover ka na ilang beses, eh. Ganun po talaga.
Nakatayo na lang ng gutom, tapos wala nang ano.
Opo, wala na po yung mga niyog, tapos yung mga dahon, wala na. Talagang parang upos na kandila.
Parang napugutan.
And then kung sabihin mo, di mangisda kayo, wala na nga pambot, naubos nga lahat, eh. Hindi po kapani-paniwala for those who have been to Siargao. Talagang nakalbo, siguro 95%, talagang wala ho talaga. Kung meron mang natira na 5%, ito po yung mga nasa gilid ng bundok na hindi po natamaan ng hangin. Kung hindi, ito po yung mga cement structures or cemented structures. At nakatago po yung bubong. Kaya buo pa po. Pero 5% lang ho yun, eh. Halos lahat to talagang na-wipe out. Kaya pakiusap po namin, at yun naman ang ginagawa din ng most of the foreigners and tourists, to get the tourists out of Siargao. Kasi kami mga locals doon, kami mga lumad, we will survive. We know the place, we know the terrain. Ang problema po, ang dami po kasing turista. I mean, the most beautiful island in Asia, naturally. Hindi po sila sanay sa ganitong klaseng trahedya. Ang Siargao po ay sanay na po sa bagyo. Kaya nga po, nakakabilib din, although nakakaiyak din. Makita ko yung mga kababayan ko doon na sila ay nakangiti pa rin. They managed to crack a joke kahit paano. But then again, it's a tragedy. It's really terrible.
Yeah. Sec Martin, balikan ko lang sabi mo kanina, I think it's a point of concern na nagtataasan yung presyo ng gasolina among many other things, eh. Kasi pag wala kang gasolina, wala kang pang travel, wala ka ring pang generator kung sakali o ano man. Is there any need for price controls yet sa mga hard hit areas, or it's too early?
Definitely, there is a need for price control, Ed. And again, we did that in Yolanda. We during Yolanda, we did that in Tacloban. Pero wala namang magagawa yung mga price control na yan. Kung mismo yung mga nagpapatupad, gutom din. Kanya-kanyang kumpuni ng bahay. Kung hindi dumarating yung pagkain, mahirap. It's anarchy that could possibly happen, and we want to avoid this. And I understand. I work in the government, and I know that this is also happening in Dinagat. It's happening also in Surigao City. It's happening in places that were badly hit by Typhoon Odette. We are just talking about Siargao now. We're not. We're still not talking about the other places. So this is a huge challenge for the local and the national government.
Mhm. Sec Martin, teka, I know you'll be having a busy day, pero let me put this in before you go. Um, ano ang maitutulong ng taong bayan sa mga tinamaan ng bagyo? For example, kasi we're going to have a telethon in Channel 5, bring in donations in cash or in kind. Also, there's talk of setting aside one channel para parang open mic lang para yung mga tao pwedeng lumapit at mag-broadcast sa safe kami and all that, wag niyo kami lalahanin and all that. Anong maitutulong ng taong bayan ng mga NGO, ng mga private institutions?
Thank you, Ed. Again, let me state that beggars can't be choosers. Kung ano man ang pwedeng ibigay, pwede po ibigay. Pero tama si Ed, ano yung mga essential needs. So basic, pagkain po, tubig. So kung meron po kayong pagkain o tubig, pagkain siguro na madaling i-transport, yung hindi masyadong mabigat para po mas marami tayong maipadala doon sa mga isla, sa Visayas at sa Mindanao. Tubig, mahalaga din po yun. Pero kung meron pong makapagbigay na malaking kumpanya ng water purifier, mas maganda. Pero kailangan pong sabayan niya ng generator. Kung sasabayan niyo po ng generator, sabayan niyo rin po ng gasolina dahil wala pong gasolina doon. And 6, kailangan po natin kung meron pong mga solar panels na pwedeng ibigay para pang-charge ng phones, yun po. Number 7, kung meron po mga satellite phone technology na pwedeng dalhin doon, yun po yung dalhin. And then, yung mga kumot, yung mga damit, yung mga tents could follow. So, basic needs po talaga ang kailangan, Ed.
Okay, yung MVP group, I understand, is putting together already a package, mga satellite phones and the water purifiers, among many other things. So sige, sama-sama tayo dito. Kung ano may tutulong, siguro wag lang yung mga yung medyo mapili tayo dapat kasi mamaya yung espasyo na para sa importanteng gamit ma-take over ng hindi pala importante. Essentials.
Oo, tama Ed, yung espasyo hindi masyado hindi makakaya ng espasyo. Alam mo naman sa mga yung mga warehouse na pinagdadala nito ay itinatabi din yung mga hindi essential dahil pinapauna. So siguro alam niyo naman ng mga kababayan natin kung ano po yung essential. Sabi ko nga kanina sa interview na tayo ng mga Pilipino, majority sa atin naka-experience ng malakas na bagyo. We know how it feels. And again, the saying that you do unto others what you want others to do unto you, and that's what we should be thinking. Ilang araw na lang, 4 days, Pasko na. Mairaos lang itong Pasko. Napakahalaga ng Pasko para sa atin mga Pilipino dahil majority of us are Christians and Catholics. Kanina kausap ko si Ambassador Ilan Fluss ng Israel at magdadala sila ng solar panel, mga kumot, pagkain, tubig sa Thursday, no? At mamaya kausap ko ang US Charge de Affairs, meron din silang ibibigay. Tulong-tulong, maraming salamat sa MVP Group. Maraming salamat po talaga. At hindi po natin mabigyan ng value yung yearly na tulong, constant, talagang consistent po ng MVP Group of Companies sa pagtulong sa mga nasalanta ng bagyo o kung anumang trahedya.
Okay. Ang ating kasamahan, si Secretary Martin Andanao. Sec Martin, good to see you again. At hopefully, when we see you again in person in better times.
Yes, Ed. Thank you so much. Ed, can I just make the most out of this interview again para makapagpanawagan po?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Ed, As the Cabinet Officer for Regional Development and Security of Region 10, where I am also from, we have organized a donation drive in Region 10 para makatulong sa mga biktima ng Typhoon Odette. Ito po yung Bangon Vismin na donation drive headed by General Ferdy Barandon, by Regional Director Myla Carino, sila Frank Gumapo ng PIA, at sila po sa DILG, mga kasabad po natin. At sana po, kung kayo po taga Region 10, ay matulungan nyo rin po ang inyong mga kababayan. Marami rin pong binaha sa Cagayan de Oro. At hindi lang po yon, pati po yung mga kababayan natin sa Visayas at sa iba pang parte ng Mindanao. Kaya yun lang po. Sana po matulungan po natin yung drive po na ito. Mabuhay po kayo. Thank you.
Okay, mabuhay Secretary Martin Andanao. Maraming salamat for joining us this morning at ingat po parati. Good morning, sir.
Merry Christmas.
And that's today's agenda. Keep it here in Signal TV channels 8 and 250 for the latest news. I'm Ed Lingao, sitting in for Cito Beltran. We are One News.